I know from reading Learn to Lead to Win, you had so many stories that showcase this importance. Do you have another one that you could share that really demonstrates the importance of trust?
I think the one that really comes to bear is the ejection story. The ejection.
Phenomenal story. I can't wait for you to tell it.
Yeah, that was quite a ride. For the listeners, if you haven't read the book, that is the story at the beginning of the book, and how did I get here, kind of thing. We're out flying this one particular gorgeous August day in 1987. I was in the front seat teaching the backseater how to do certain maneuvers in a Tomcat. We were doing exactly what we were supposed to be doing, and one of the maneuvers was this vertical recovery where you take the airplane up to zero airspeed and then let it fall off. The Tomcat had a particularly kind of sort of an egregious departure thing. It was very big. It's got big moment arms, and it would swing and pitch and run around, and it would make you feel like you're completely out of control. You need to do something with the controls. So the idea was to just leave it alone and let it flop around a little while, even though as violent as it got to be. And then after a while, it would point down into the wind, and then you could start flying it again. The reason we taught that is because most of the time when you're fighting another airplane, you're looking outside the cockpit and you only glance in at your instruments every kind of a quick scan and back out again. And oftentimes in the F-14, you could get up and kind of get parked. And you had to do the right thing once it got parked up here to make sure you didn't, depart the airplane and jump out, So the teaching of the students was, you get it up here, and if you all of a sudden figure out that, there's no more controls, and you look back in and the thing goes to zero airspeed, you just let it go. And now it's going to flop around, it's going to do this, it's going to feel like this, it's going to come off weird, it's going to go over, and it's unpredictable where it goes. Don't touch anything until you see positive airspeed on the airspeed indicator, and the thing, is pointing nose down. Then you can start to fly it again. So that was the demonstration. So I had also told the student pilot in the back seat that I had learned in my first squadron that you could actually go up to about 100 knots and push the airplane over like that, and it would just translate. And so you could actually go up in a planned maneuver with less airspeed than it took to do a loop, and you get up here and you push it this way, and it would kind of flip over like that and come back down. And I had used it tactically in my first squadron. I used it in Top Gun, and so it works great. So I briefed him on it. So we did the vertical recovery. It does all this whoa, like that, and you see, hey, this is just talking to him, and he goes, oh, cool. So then we level out. We're heading back to go switch cockpits so that he can do the same maneuvers. And I said, hey, we got a little bit of gas. Is there anything else you want to see? And he, fateful question. And he says, yeah, I want to see you do that flip on the nose thing. And so, okay, lock your harness, up we go. And so we start at 15,000 feet. We go up full military, not afterburner. And we kind of come up this way. And then I'm pushing on I'm shoving on the stick. I can't get the airplane to come over. I mean, I am just leaning on this. I go right past 100 knots, right down to zero airspeed. And I'm still putting controls in, trying to make this thing go over. Well, the control that I put in make it go pure vertical. I like perfectly vertical. And now it's just kind of rotating around its axis, falling out of the sky, but exactly straight up. It doesn't even fall off. It's just sliding straight down. Well, all that air into the intakes makes the engine stall one at a time. And so the first indication we get is this big ass yellow fireball goes bang out the left intake right next to my ear. Like, oh, that's kind of surprising. And this big bang, big yellow fireball, and then the stall lights go on, the tones go on, and in the Tomcat, it sounds like doo-doo-doo, 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 and the lights right here in the ladder lights in front of your eyes are kind of lighting up. And the engine instruments for the left side all go to bad. They're all red warning lights, and the engine quits. Actually, it's just fully stalled, so it's over-temping. The RPMs are coming down. And so the thing you do as a Tomcat pilot for a stall is no matter where you are, it doesn't say if it's zero airspeed, don't do this, bring both throttles to idle. And so I pulled both throttles to idle, still straight up, still coming off a little bit because this engine had quit, and that engine's still working. So now it's coming off this way and starting to go on its back. The right engine stalls because I had moved the throttles. And now they don't have nice airflow, so they're not very happy. So the right engine, bang! And now both lights are going off, and the thing does very violent head banging, maneuvers on the way down. And long story short, to the ejection decision, I needed to get that airplane pointed down so we didn't eject because we had no engines anymore. And so I didn't give it enough time to just come out of the spin before I started putting anti-spin controls in. And we were not in a spin. And so I applied the wrong controls. And essentially I kept us in uncontrolled flight all the way past ejection altitude. So went all the way down to 8,000 feet. And the guy in the back, guy named Slammer, he's like 10,000 feet. Have you got it? And I went, didn't say anything. I'm like, somebody's going to do something here to recover this airplane. I can't figure it out. And we went past 8,000 feet. Now we're 2,000 feet below mandatory ejection altitude. 8,000 feet. Have you got it? No, eject, eject, eject. And so I reached up and pulled the handle. That's the first trust thing. I hope this works. Literally thinking, this is where I die. It's it. And it was a matter of fact feeling. It's like, okay, this is where I die. Here it comes. And you just pull the handle. I hope this works. So I literally pull the handle down, and there's some more detail in the story, but there's like a measurable time lag between me with the handle in my chest and actual out of the airplane. Now, for the listeners, the ejection sequence in a Tomcat takes 0.9 seconds, 9/10 of a second. And it's canopy, back seat, front seat, boom, 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 and you're in chutes. I literally sat there going, why am I not out yet? And the canopy had already gone because Sam punched it off, and then he had already gone, and I was the last guy to go. And I'm literally thinking, why am I not gone yet? And then ow, 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 and then ended up in the chute. So now I'm over the water, and from the violence of the departure and all of the lights and the tones, everything else, floating in a parachute was epic. I'm like, oh my, this is awesome. Quiet. It's beautiful outside. Just coming down. And everything I did was trusting that the riggers and the AMEs that maintain the seat, that maintain my parachute, that maintain my survival gear, that maintain my radios. Of course, you never use that stuff until it's time to, no kidding, bet your life on it. Everything I did worked. And everything I did as an action was following my training post ejection and validating and verifying that it worked. And so again, I'll let the listeners read that story on the ejection piece. It is kind of humorous in a couple of areas. But what I did after that, Tom, was I bought a case of Johnny Walker Scotch, Johnny Black. Not anything, I'm a lieutenant, I didn't, for Johnny Blue. I bought a case of Johnny Black, and I went around to every shop, including the Aircraft Intermediate Maintenance Department at NAS North Island, California, where they actually packed my chute and put it in the chute so that our squadron riggers could put it in a seat. And I took a bottle of scotch to them, and I told them the story. And I said, thank you very much. I'm alive because of all of you guys. Here's a bottle of scotch. And, and I told them that story. So yeah, the ejection is probably a huge trust thing. And even Sam in the back seat, he's trusting the nasty up front's doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's trusting me, and his wife hated me for a decade because I almost killed her husband, so she didn't trust me so much as Sam did.